In this tutorial, I'll go over how to use Schema app to create a recipe. The first thing we're going to do is go to the structured data editor and check to see what account you're in and make sure it's the correct sub-account. And then I'm going to go ahead and just look up the class recipe. Once it brings up the class, you can scroll down on the page and click on Create to create the recipe markup. So we're going to call this one gluten-free brownies. And if you're going to automatically deploy it, you want to make sure you have the URI, or the unique resource indicator, and copy that into here. This is the URL to where you want to deploy the schema markup to automatically. And click OK. Now Schema app is going to load all the different properties that are required for a recipe. So you can see it's already pre-populated the name, and now we're going to add an image. Now I'll show how I like to do images. So we'll pull in here, we'll copy this image address, and we'll just go ahead and paste the URL in. It's going to ask me that it's defined externally. We're going to say yes. I'm going to show you a trick that allows you to turn that into an image object in the size very easily. Next, we're going to fill in the description. I like to pull this directly off the page. So I'm just going to pull the first section of this page, but really describe what the recipe is about, and there's no determination or no shortage of characters here, so you can be explicit about what you want and what it's about. Then we're going to say when it's published. So let's see if there's an actual published day. I'm going to assume this was published yesterday, but you can just pick the date here, September 21st, 2011. So we'll go ahead, and what I'm going to do is just going to pick September 21st of this year, and then I'm just going to edit it here so that it's much easier to do this. Nutritional information. There is no nutritional information in the example I'm showing, but if you were to have additional nutritional information, you can create the data item. And so I'm going to call it nutritional information for a gluten-free brownie and add that in. And we're going to go and edit that later. For the recipe instructions, what we've done is tried to simplify this for you so that you can add your instructions all in one page to make it a bit easier to see sort of how the instructions are coming together. So we'll go here and see the recipe, and the instructions are up here. So the first one is going to be preheat the oven. So I'll go ahead and put that in. So we'll say preheat oven. And then I'll put in the long description here. And this is position 1. So you're in essence creating a list here. And so what you want to do is go ahead and pull the instructions. If they're not numbered, you're going to number them yourself. So this one's going to be melt the chocolate. Position 2. And then I'll put one more just to show sort of how it's done. And then we'll do sort of number 3 here. So you can use the plus sign to add as many as you need. So mix ingredients. Position 3. So if you were to have more, again, you can just fill these out. And then when you're done, you can just get rid of them by using the X. So that's how you add your recipe instructions. The cook time. The cook time has to be in this ISO 8601 duration format. So if it's just a time and it's not more than a day, put in PT. That basically says P is for a period, T is for time. I'm going to look to see here what the cook time is. So for 32 to 35 minutes. So we'll put 32 minutes. So you're going to do minutes and then 32. And the instructions in the question mark are quite good here. It sort of explains how M is for the minute designator. So here's the example, 12 hours, 30 minutes, 5 seconds. So, it's actually, I've done it. It has to be 32M. Good thing there's an example there. If there are reviews, this is where you would add them. Again, you would create a connected data item. And so we'd say gluten-free brownie review 1. And then we would go and edit that and add detail information later. So for the category, so let's look here to see where she has it. I think she probably has it in cakes for categories. Dark chocolate cake. So she doesn't have it. So I'd probably put it in baking or cakes. So depending on sort of how the recipes are designated or categorized for the site, you can just enter that in. It doesn't have to be cakes. And then for ingredients, you're also going to add different steps in here. So for each of the ingredients, you're going to highlight the whole ingredient, including the measure for it, and then add those in. And again, for the ingredients, there's no order to the list, so you can just cut and paste those all over. So I'll do one more just to show how it's done. Excellent, and then you can get rid of the extra ones here. If you have an aggregate rating, again, that you would add that in. So the rating value, let's say if it's a rating of 5 across 144 reviews, the best rating and the worst rating are actually the scale. So it's out of 5, and the worst is a 1. And then the URL is really telling me where the aggregate rating found. And so you could put the URL of the actual page that it's on. So for example, if it was on this one, you could put here, and then you could also push hashtag review if that page is already being used. For the author, it's looking for you to connect that to a person. I believe I may have Karina already in here. There she is, gluten-free goddess. So if you've already created the author or the organization that's created the recipes, you can just type in their name like I did for Karina. If you haven't, then you would go ahead and create a linked data item. So again, do create data item and then edit it afterwards. So prep time, let's see if there's a prep time estimate on here. Don't see one on here. So if it's not listed, then you don't put it on. And it would be something that we would then give feedback and say, hey, it would be great if you could go ahead and add your prep time on here. It does have this number of servings, but it doesn't have the time it takes to prep. Total time. So we know that it's 32 minutes. And so here, if we look here, again, it's looking for that PT. So PT, what would I do? I was 32M. And the recipe yield is 16 servings. Now, you can use the about field if it's a specific recipe about something. So maybe it's about bananas. In this case, it's about brownies. So we can actually look to see in Wikipedia if there's a Wikipedia page on brownies. So it looks like there's something here in brownies, but this could be anything. So you might want to check in Wikipedia and see if there's a definition for the type of recipe that you're doing. And then you could go ahead and link there. So chocolate brownie, there's actually a chocolate brownie Wikipedia page, so we could use that. So if I put in chocolate brownie, there we go. And then I'm being really specific that this recipe is about a chocolate brownie. It's also about gluten-free, so you could maybe also put a second part in here and kind of call that out. Then these are additional properties that you can use. So let's say it's maybe for a specific audience. If it's gluten-free, it might be for a celiac audience. You can call that out specifically. Again, a lot of these, date modified, date created, or discussion URL or the editor, you can fill out if that information is on the page and if it's relevant. The ones that we include at the top are the ones that are required and recommended by Google. So let's go ahead and click Save since we have the main ones in there. So it says it should have calories listed for, so let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do that. So now that it's loaded, it's showing my pictures there, and it's actually asking me to add the calories for nutritional information. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to edit it. And when it brings up the nutrition, you'll see that there's a calories box right here. So let's say that there's 150 calories per serving. Again, cholesterol content, there's other fat content, other properties for nutritional information properties that you can fill out. Again, this information should be included on this page. The recipe I picked doesn't have any examples, but that's where you would put it. And then to go back to your brownies, you can go to the gluten-free brownies here. And then I just wanted to show you where you would add your additional review information. So we added the nutrition. Anytime you see this blue link, it's linking to something else. So here you can see the reviews are for the gluten-free brownie. And so you could add your review detail in here. So that's how you go ahead and add recipe details. One property that I did include was URL, which I would normally include. So let's go ahead and just add that in. So I'm going to edit the page. And again, the URL is going to be the same as the URI. The URI that we filled at the beginning is the URI that says where Schema app should send the schema markup. And the URL is really describing sort of what is the URL for that recipe. So let's scroll. It's always in alphabetical order. So if you come down to the bottom here and enter that in. Here's another great one. If there's also a video, you can also include a link to the video object there. Now, I did say that you use the URL for the image, and I'll show you now a quick trick that you can do to make it easy to make updates to your images so you don't have to create an image object. So you can come over here to the Schema app tools and go to image repair. And what image repair will do is it will identify images that don't have dimensions or sizes. Now, since this is a demo account, it has a lot of non-existent images that I've faked for my demos. But we'll go ahead in here and find the one that is tied to the blog that we just did. So gluten-free brownies, and we're just going to click on setup image, and now that's created an image object as well as set the parameters for it. So that's how you use Schema app to create a recipe markup. Thanks and have a great day. Happy scheming.